Are you tired of transporting countless small boxes from A to B during the Resource Drive event and want to reach your goals as quickly as possible? Then you're exactly in the right place. Because in this guide, we will show you the fastest method by far to reach your goal during the Resource Drive event. And it's even fun. Of course, you can also reach your goals during the Resource Drive event through mining and freight missions. But you will need to invest a lot of time here, struggle by many players at various points, or hope during mining that the refined materials will eventually reach its destination. Currently, the recovery cargo ship missions are by far the fastest and easiest way to reach your goal as quickly as possible. But a small spoiler, for the method shown here, you will need either an RSI Polaris or even an Aegis Idris as an upgrade version. So it's a real special guide, or you have friends with these ships. But this variant offers the possibility to quickly transport many SCU together. With 2 players up to a maximum of 3 players, you have the opportunity to speed up the time event more and still maximize the outcome for everyone. And with this method, you can earn up to 800 SCU per hour solo. We use 2 missions, the Resource Drive Large Cargo Retrieval and the Small Cargo Retrieval mission. Here, the goal is always the same. You receive a mission location where a cargo ship is stranded and waiting for you, but surrounded by various enemies. And this is where the principle of this tip comes into play. Because actually, you would have to clear various waves of enemies, which guard the cargo ships out of the way, to then either secure the ship as a whole and deliver the cargo, or of course, you'll load them afterwards. And of course, there is the opinion to fly up to the cargo ships with a small ship, try to quickly snag the ships and escape, but especially after the last patch, the escort size has significantly increased and the danger that you will be destroyed here before you can take off is relatively large. Therefore, we use the currently largest ships for this variant, the RSI Polaris or even an Aegis Idris. Because here, the escorts are not able to really pose a threat to these ships, and so you can, while you simply unload the cargo and or land in, let them shoot at you. The defensive qualities of the Polaris or Idris are so huge and so strong that they take virtually no damage here or only very minor damage. This way you can easily do 10 to 15 of these missions in a row without a break, without needing to go for repairs. In these missions you receive about 150 SCU for the large cargo retrieval version. This means with larger cargo pieces, starting from 16 SCU boxes up to 32 SCU boxes, as well as about 50 SCU with small missions, and here we start with 16 SCU boxes. So our tip, choose the right region, preferably Crusader, and accept the small or large missions here. And if you currently cannot find one of these 2 missions, first do the other available mission, and as soon as you can cancel it, after you have loaded the material, these will instantly repeatable, so you can repeat the whole thing infinitely. It is important to cancel the mission after you have loaded the cargo, to accept it again immediately. And of course, you have nothing to fear in terms of negative consequences here, and only in this way you receive a new mission. And especially with the small cargo retrieval missions, you don't have any opponents with the Polaris, as your point defense turrets take out the incoming small attackers one by one. So don't let that stop you. Feel free to leave your ship standing. You're at no point in any danger with this small mission with an Polaris or even an Idris. So it's important not to deactivate your shields and to park as close as possible with extended loading ramps to the cargo ship. Here we can easily receive our cargo afterwards, but we strongly recommend using a max lift tractor beam for this in any case. You can, of course, use a regular tractor beam with Minch working with a multi-tool, but you will have a problem when unloading the large 32 SCU boxes at the latest at the point of return. And if necessary, a corresponding loaded Atlas can also help you with loading and unloading. But this usually only works with the Polaris and smaller ships. But more on that later when we get to the Idris area, where we use the Atlas more often. In addition, we strongly recommend using the cargo grid to the respective ships, which means storing your cargo neatly. In principle, you can also just throw everything loosely into the cargo hold, but we have experienced losses during some quantum jumps, so especially concerning loose cargo pieces. Therefore, our tip: use the cargo grid and play it safe. And as mentioned, once you have completed the mission, that is, secured the cargo, you can cancel it directly and accept the same mission in the same area afterwards. In the area of the large cargo retrieval missions, there are usually only two different cargo ships you need to unload, which you will find. One is the Caterpillar and one is a C2M2. And the C2M2 variant is faster here, when it comes out to unloading, and you will usually find large 32 SCU containers here. But for a Caterpillar, you usually have more cargo pieces ranging from 16 to 24 SCU containers. And the tip: don't take everything with you. In particular, you should not take the 1 or 2 SCU boxes with you in this variant. Here, the time spent on loading and unloading is really not worth it. For unloading, we also recommend to use the planets in Hurston, so Lorville, Crusader, Microtech or Area 18. Because no matter where you collect the cargo, you can submit the general mission, which is also suitable for mining. And once again the note: it doesn't matter in which area you collected the cargo. What matters is which mission you're depending with the cargo. This means, for example, we collect it in the Crusader area and drop it in the Hurston area here in Lorville. And here is the urgent note due to various bugs: do not stack the cargo on top of each other, but only on the one level. Then you won't have any problems when delivering. But let's move on to variant 2, which can be quite useful, especially for multiple players. Because with an Aegis Idris, the largest ship currently in the verse, you have an impenetrable defense line against any PvE attackers that you can expect in these area of missions. Here, your shields are so strong that even after prolonged fire, no damage penetrates. And additionally, you have almost unlimited cargo space, which has the entire hangar area with various cargo grids on the sides, and this is so large that nothing has been lost so far on the way in Quantum. Here, we also recommend parking as close as possible with open doors to our destination, so the cargo ship, and making loading and unloading easier. And at the latest for the Idris, it is advisable to be at least 2 people, as you usually have long distance here to walk and loading and unloading the cargo goes much faster. Additionally, we strongly recommend taking an Atlas on board, because we can attach the 16 SCU containers to the cargo grid, and we can easily stack the 24 and 32 SCU containers across the entire hangar area. And here too, the rule applies: as soon as you are done loading, cancel the mission accordingly and accept the same mission again, so be quick. But it can currently happen, even during peak times, that the mission gets snatched up quickly. Here you just wait a moment or fly a small cargo mission and accept a large cargo mission again during that time. It works. Especially in the Crusader area, there are so many mission spots that here, when you have a large cargo mission, you will receive a new one after your location immediately after submitting. With a bit of practice, so 1 or 2 missions, you can easily achieve an average of nearly 800 SCU per hour, and this even solo, including the occasional crash to desktop. Because we have found that, especially with the large cargo retrieval missions, a crash to desktop is often triggered, and not just for us. It's a known bug. But respawning at the same location works without issues, and you can still complete the mission or receive the cargo, and your cargo is not lost. And if you conduct this variant with a Polaris or even an Idris with a second player, the yield of the cargo increases to about 1200 SCU per hour. In principle, you have less end results per person here, but the whole thing is significantly more enjoyable to play and much more fun. As an additional tip, position yourself directly on the Polaris or even the Idris, so that if something goes wrong, you can still get on the ship and continue right where you left off. Another benefit of these ships: it is also advisable to keep an eye on other players. Although the mission locations are not accessible to every player, it can especially happen with a larger number of currently players that one player may be in your mission area. So if you have an open ship here, you will receive a message as soon as another player enters your ship in a monitor area. take these notifications very seriously, because this can lead to someone wanting to take your ship or having other bad intentions. But the chance that another player can land on your ship without problems under continuous fire from NPCs around you or region is still very low. We have only had this pleasure once, and it was also very brief. So the Idris method is really easy, but one drawback. And this drawback is crucial for us, because with this method you need a Polaris or an Idris. So you need one of the most expensive and rarest chips currently available in the verse. Moreover, the mission design is actually not intended for this, because here we'll let them attack us and do nothing about it. But with the mission design, we should defeat the opponents first and then be able to take the cargo. But due to the fact that the Idris and Polaris are XXL capital ships and therefore defensively stronger, we actually have no problems here. Therefore, this variant simply falls under the balancing or game design problem. So a clear plus for players who are whales. Nevertheless, this allows for relatively quick maximum rewards for the 4 different factions of the Resource Drive event. But let's move on to a few top questions. And also some tips and tricks. Currently, we haven't managed to, for example, use an Atlas with the Idris. On the other hand, we regularly experience crash to desktops, but after joining you are back in the game. And if you have purchased an Idris P with the corresponding add-on packs, you can maximize the point defense turrets, where this firepower is usually sufficient to eliminate all attackers sooner or later. This way, at the end of a large cargo retrieval mission, you usually only have 1 or 2 heavily damaged enemy ships left in the area. And here you don't have to worry about any damage to your ship. In the case of Polaris, various enemy configurations may lead to some shielding failing, but the damage here is not focused on one spot by the AI opponents, so you also come away quite lightly with hull damage. And for this, you really need to stay on site for a long time. If you don't have the option when unloading to pack large cargo pieces directly, there is usually a small cargo box placed in front or next to it. Take these small boxes aside and you can load and unload without any problems. And take your time when approaching or parking, because the better and closer you park here, the faster the loading and unloading of the various cargo pieces works. So you definitely don't save any time if you park too far or the wrong way. The next tip: deliver regularly. At the latest, after about 1000 or 1500 SCU of cargo, you should aim for a planet and deliver the cargo, because the risk of a server error or other bugs where you have to reclaim your ship and lose all cargo is real. And just like with the Polaris, also for the Idris, you must unload directly on the planet's surface, for example, land on Lorville, Microtech Area 18 or Crusader. Otherwise, you will usually receive a docking port at the space stations. Here you cannot delete your cargo. So, to receive all rewards, you must deliver separately to the 4 different factions. If you are, for example, with another player and deliver via the standard mission, only the player receives the mission shares, that is, as well as written SCUs, which operates the cargo lift. But it is also possible that other players can operate the cargo lift in your hangar. This way, you can share your mission reward of the looted SCU with other players by alternating the use of the descending cargo lift. And for unloading, we recommend an Atlas in any case, regardless of whether we are traveling with the Polaris or the Idris. And here, by holding the Y key, you have the option to enter the freelog mode. This means your Atlas stays in place, but by looking around you have the opportunity to place the boxes much more easily and really smooth. And to deliver special for one faction, it is advisable to take the mission Resource Drive Materials Required, which is optional for every faction. So Hurston, Area 18, Crusader or Microtech. Here you can deliver cargo pieces, corundum, tungsten or copper, at any of the 4 locations. And here it is irrelevant which quantities, piece counts or where the materials comes from. Expect stolen materials. And with that, you have the opportunity relatively quickly to collect the various reward tiers, meaning 5 reward tiers for 4 factions. Nevertheless, the Resource Drive mission series represents by far the biggest grind in Star Citizen history. And for future events of this kind, We hope, by the way, we would like to include, for example, the distribution centers, or even significantly increase the cargo sizes you can use. Because anyone who transports several thousand SCU boxes from A to B, loads and unloads them all by hand, will be fed up after a few rounds. At least that was the case for us. And finally, 2 tips. When parking, you should not touch the cargo ship. Otherwise you will have a little spin and have to wait a long time until you can unload without any problems. And on the other hand, always keep an eye out of other players who might want to ambush you during the flight. An interior view for checking is therefore advisable. And with that, see you soon and thank you for watching. Happy cargo loading!